Well, the disassembly of this Crown Victoria continues. I've basically got it as far as I need to go. I do need to take off the right front fender still to get to the wiring harness back there. But just to give you the idea of the sheer magnitude of what I'm trying to do, I want to have the automatic climate control system from the wrecked Crown Victoria instead of the manual climate control system in the white Crown Victoria, and that's necessitating replacing the complete wiring harness on the whole front end of the car. But I definitely think that that's better. I want to keep that as much as I can. So what I've done is I've removed the instrument panel and steering column. I basically stripped out the entire instrument panel assembly and basically the whole front end of the car, including the wiring harness. The next thing I've got to do is take out this wiring harness because it's missing the temperature sending unit. And just to give you an idea of the sheer magnitude of what's going on, you can see, I can't even get it all in frame, the multitude of wiring that had to be removed and accounted for. So this is the instrument panel from the white car. And what I've got to do is replace this entire wiring harness assembly with that from the instrument panel from the wrecked car, which I've got sitting out here. I've already stripped down this instrument panel, and I've got the wiring harness sitting here, including the fuse block assembly. It's basically everything all complete. And the reason being is that, among other things, it contains different wiring and plugs for the automatic climate control system. So this goes to the electronic blower motor control. You can see how different looking that is. And over here on the manual climate control, here's what it looks like. That's just a standard resistor block. You can tell by all the heavy wiring going to it. So this wiring harness has to come out, and of course the wiring where the climate control head comes out right here is completely different. You've got a lot of the heavy gauge wiring coming right up to the switches because it's all manual. And then over here on the other car, if I can find it, you've got completely different harnesses for the electronic climate control. So that's pretty much why all the wiring has to come out. Usually car makers will leave the connectors there. They might basically have one of each kind of connector coming out, but I guess the systems are so different, they went ahead and had different wiring harnesses. So that whole harness has to be replaced and put into that instrument panel. And then this wiring harness where the maxi fuses are, the power distribution box is, has to be swapped out simply because it's got this outdoor or outside temperature sensor mounted in the front. And here's all your headlight connectors. And then this area here is basically what's running along the inside of this right front fender, where you see this power distribution box and the headlight connectors and everything else. So quite a lot of work to tear down a car this much, both inside and outside, but I think, other than the power steering gear, which I might be able to do at a later date, I think I might be at the point of beginning to reassemble the cars and starting with the air conditioning system. I've got, you can tell the difference. This is the blend air motor control, and you can see it's got the EATC marking on here, so that's different. And then over here you've got the same deal, but it's the manual version. And over here is where your heater core is. You just take out these bolts there, lift up the cover, and the heater core just lifts right on out. And you can tell how much worse shape this heater core is in. So rather than swap heater cores, I'm just going to replace the entire air conditioning assembly, both on the inside of the car as well as the outside. There's the condenser and compressor and evaporator and receiver dryer. Just replace the entire air conditioning system, and also including the fresh air door from the outside. When you turn on the air conditioning or vent, this door can open up and let outside air come in. And that's got a lot of dust in it and everything. And I've got a basically brand new one here from the wrecked car, which looks to be in much better shape. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in first. Then put this in. And then I'll be able to swap these wiring harnesses. And then put the instrument panel back in. I've got the two steering columns here. That's from the white car, that's from the wrecked car. I think I'll just swap steering wheels. The gear selector has a lot of wear in it. What happens on these Fords, there's just a shaft. It's mounted in with these two bearings with these bushings in here, and they just get worn out. This one here is much tighter. And the multifunction switch has a lot of wear in it. It's got a lot of play. This one's nice and tight. So no reason to use or not use something new if I can help it. Then of course you got the U-joint on the bottom that goes to the steering shaft outside of the car. That's nice and tight, whereas that one's a little bit worn. So I'm basically, with the exception of, the seats backward, which there's not a lot going on there, it's very simple. I'm basically rebuilding an entire 1995 Crown Victoria, replacing every single part that would have worn out or may wear out, including all the wiring. So whatever problems this car may have had electrically, that's all going to be fixed because of the new wiring being put in. So stay tuned. I'm going to start with which is why I have to do this pretty quickly, because if it rains, it's just going to get water right on into the interior. I'm going to go ahead and start with this gasket surface here, or this screen. Go ahead and put that on now that I have that all cleaned up. And I'll be able to go ahead and put that assembly back in, as well as that assembly. So stay tuned for the next video, where hopefully you'll see the instrument panel back in here, and we'll go from there.